47 past the hour. New reaction this morning after 190 Venezuelan migrants were deported from El Paso to Venezuela on airplanes sent by the Maduro regime last night. It comes amid growing concerns over the Trump administration's plans to hold thousands of migrants at Guantanamo. The Washington Post reports some lawyers are worried the migrants being sent there are in a, quote, legal black hole. Joining us now, the reporter on that byline, Silvia Foster-Frau, Washington Post national investigative reporter focused on immigration. Silvia, it's always great seeing you. So what did these lawyers tell you about this legal black hole? What is that?
Yeah, so these lawyers that I spoke to are incredibly concerned that all of these immigrants that are being sent to Guantanamo do not have legal access. They say they have not been able to talk to them. They don't know who they are. They don't know the conditions that they're living in, and even whether or not they truly do have criminal histories and violent criminal histories like the Trump administration suggests. And so they've been very concerned about exactly what is going on with the rights of these immigrants that they have as they're being transferred to Guantanamo.
You know, I'm wondering, because President Trump called on his cabinet to start the process of considering Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, Tren de Aragua as foreign terrorist organizations, along with the cartels in Mexico. Does that give the administration a lot more, I don't know, leeway into who they're sending to Guantanamo and what those people's rights are, or the rights that they don't have?
Right. So that's a really important point. So the Trump administration, as you mentioned, has been making moves to make gangs like Tren de Aragua, which is the Venezuelan-based gang, into terrorist organization. But what's important to know is that when it comes to the military detention in Guantanamo, that provision on who is supposed to be held in military prison is specifically for terrorist suspects from Al-Qaeda, Taliban, and other sort of affiliated groups that came to light kind of after the 9/11 attacks. And so even if Tren de Aragua was considered a terrorist organization, they would not necessarily, there would be a very big jump to say, right, that they were affiliated with any of those other organizations that are really, it's very narrowly focused on terrorist organizations that are post 9/11. And so the lawyers have a lot of concern that these immigrants who, you know, whether designated terrorists in the end or not, are being held in a military prison that's specifically for 9/11 suspected terrorists.
Interesting. And Silvia, just yesterday at this hour, we reported that a court blocked the Trump administration from sending 3 Venezuelan migrants to Guantanamo. What are lawyers telling you about the legal options for migrants that are sent there?
Yeah, so that was a really interesting court filing because there were 3 Venezuelan men who were being held at a detention center in El Paso, and they saw through news reports showing photos of Guantanamo immigrants. They saw their fellow detainees there, and there became concerns that they were being transferred. And what those organizations said in their filing is that these 3 men did not have criminal histories except for one whose crime was trying to plan to help others cross the border. These were men who had passed credible fear interviews, and then were and their fear was that they were being prepared to take to Guantanamo, which then raised a whole host of questions because, as you mentioned, the Trump administration has been saying that these are immigrants who are the worst of the worst, that they're violent criminals. But in the case of those 3 men, they were not violent criminals, and yet they could have been taken to a military prison that was specifically designed for suspected terrorists. And so the concern is that these people are being taken to Guantanamo, this place that has been known as being shrouded in secrecy, and being taken there into these places that have been meant for suspected terrorists.
Silvia Foster-Frau, thank you very much. It's great seeing you. Appreciate it.